Hello there. Today I'm fortunate enough to be at Chateau Belair Monange, which is where I'm tasting the wines of JP Moueix, the producer of some fantastic Saint Emilions and Pomerols. And in my glass I currently have La Fleur Petrus. La Fleur Petrus' location is pretty self-explanatory. It sits between Château Pétrus and Château La Fleur. And actually it shares the same soil types as both those vineyards are renowned for. So it has the richness and the depth that you get from having clay soils, and then it has the elegance and the lightness that you get from soils with more gravel in them. La Fleur Petrus, sitting where it does, right in the centre of the plateau of Pomerol, was the first estate purchased by JP Moueix back in 1950. It's a vineyard that's planted almost entirely to Merlot, although I do note that this vintage has 0.5% of Petit Verdot in there, and I believe that's a relatively new innovation for La Fleur Petrus. The wine as it is will have spent 3-4 months in oak, and will go on to spend probably 16 months or so aging, and 50% of those barrels will be new. And even by now, there should be some notes of sort of cedary oak coming into the wine. So let's take a look at it and see what we make of it. First thing, there's a deep, dark colour. I'm not quite sure whether it's opaque or not. It's almost a sort of black, purple note. It's got some vivid purple at the rim. Swelling it, the wine's got about 13.5% alcohol, which is not particularly high for Bordeaux, but it is forming tears fairly readily in the glass there. So let's see what make of the aroma, shall we? There's an opulence and a generosity. First of all, you see sort of rich, dark cherry, damson notes, quite ripe, sort of black fruit note. And then behind that, there are chocolatey notes and red fruit, and the chocolatey notes will be coming from the oak, and the red fruit, I think, is quite typical of the 2024 vintage. It's like a little bit lighter, and those perfumes come to the fore. So there are also aromas of sort of juicy raspberry, mulberry, those quite lifted red fruits. So let's have a taste. There's a smooth texture, velvety tannins, very fine, very supple, no astringency. There's bite. There is some grip, there's a sort of dusty grip, but there's a chocolatey smooth texture and a touch of chocolatey flavour there, probably more sort of cocoa powder notes. And you get both those combinations. There's good acidity, so there's a real juicy nature to the ripe black fruits, a really deep, ripe black cherry note. Then sitting behind that as the finish goes on, there are those notes of particularly raspberry, but that sort of slight spiciness, the sweet spice, with that use of new oaks. Presumably if it's 50% new, we'll also have 50% of second fill barrels, so there'll be oak influence coming from that. But it doesn't stand out, it's harmoniously in there. That sort of chocolatiness seems to tie it to the red fruit. There are touches of vanilla, those sort of sweet spice notes. The acidity leaves that fruit juicy, and the fine tannins in combination with that perfumed fruit are giving a nice long finish. The wine's not huge, but it's elegant, it's balanced, it's harmonious. Good acidity, and has a lovely structure of what are ripe tannins. Don't get me wrong, I think Moueix had to work very hard to make this wine. There was a lot of selection going on in the vineyard at every stage. Prior to that, there would have been an awful lot of spraying to protect against mildew and the like. But in the circumstances, I think a really successful wine, that even if it's not a top example of La Fleur Petrus, is still incredibly attractive and gives you the style of the wine. Obviously, that leaves the end price as the key as to whether this is the wine to buy or not. My hope is from talking to people, the producers here understand that unless prices are very sharp, consumers won't be tempted to buy. Let's hope that message has been absorbed. So that you can track the progress of that. I'll leave a link in the notes below to the Wine Searcher webpage for this vintage of this wine, and thus when it becomes available you'll be able to see who's stocking it and at what price it is. I will also put some winemaking notes there, so hopefully that way you can go to our webpage and you can have all the information you need to be an informed purchaser if you're interested in buying this wine. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the tasting. I certainly have. If you like the video, please do press the like button. If you'd like to watch more of these videos, please consider signing up and subscribing to our YouTube channel. That would be fantastic. If you have friends who think might like to know about it, pass it on to them. That would be great. If you've got any comments you'd like to leave, please pop those in the comments box below. I'd really love to hear what you think about the wines, the tastings, or anything else we're doing in relation to this. So thank you once again for joining us. I should be doing some more tastings here at JP Moueix and over the next few days. Hopefully you'll follow me in those to get some sort of picture as to how the 2024 vintage has developed here in Bordeaux. Thanks again. Bye for now.